And welcome back. So when we left off, we were refitting our fleet and turning our eyes northward. We're going to try and conquer the Allied Steven systems, probably vassalizing their entire empire later to integrate them later. And we're going to end up going to war with the Centomeroi in the process. There's a pretty good chance that we're going to end up chain war declaring on the Centomeroi to wipe them off of the face of the galaxy. Basically, we're trying to expand enough to meet the victory condition, which you can check here. I have 30 out of the 98 planets required, so I'm still pretty far away. I'm only 30% of the size I need to be in order to win, which is pretty substantial, though. If we take a look at the power here, you can see that no one can go toe-to-toe with us, but we're going to end up having to go against more than one, basically in any direction. The fleet refits are coming along pretty nicely. The top combat fleet I actually started before I got some technologies. I'm probably going to have to refit them as soon as they're done. That's alright. And we'll be staging in Rankshin, right next to all of the stuff from the Allied Steven systems. Let's see how we're doing with our planetary development, because this has been neglected for the bulk of the game. And alright, so we're actually looking decent there for a change. Alright, so this fleet finished and is upgraded to the correct one. They've got some old waypoints from when I was putting down some rebels, but that's alright. It'll finish up its stuff still and move along. Our empire is quite substantial, and this is only 30% of what it needs to be, which gives you any idea of the scale of an empire that we'll end up having. Alright, and the other fleet is also now good to go, so I'm just waiting on both of them to arrive here. So I'm just going to send them directly to it. Get them on their way. And I'm expecting this war will actually probably be rather quick. And I believe I've got this planet already terraforming. Yep, and coming up soon as well. The AI likes to stage its fleets in its home system. So what I'm actually going to do is land my combat fleets in Rulan and take out his fleet right away. He also has a frontier outpost there. I might leave that. I really don't care. I can just disband it when I integrate him. It's not that big a deal. And let's see how we're doing. Avalon. And you can see the 15k fleet power jumped up to 17k for each of the main combat fleets, which further reinforces that everyone else is unable to go toe-to-toe. So I'm going to slow the game down since I'm going to be actually starting a reasonably large war. And he has 2 defensive pacts? Fuck. Alright, in that case, I will go south instead. I can liberate these 2 and grab this last colony over here as well. That's fine. I don't particularly want to fight that many people all in one go. But the Igarian cartel is just going to get continually smashed by the Righteous League, I think. So what I'm going to do is relieve them of their planets. Down here. And this will be also against the Lavis cartel. the last cartel being one of the people that's now guaranteeing the Allied Seaven systems, which is obnoxious. The AI does not want me to be happy this game, it seems. Between the most rebellions I think I've ever seen and guaranteeing the people as I'm trying to kill them, it's just not right. And his capital's down there. Alright. So I'll send my combat fleets like this. And it said station under attack, but I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah. The spaceports are fighting each other. And it actually looks like mine might get the better of it. He's got a couple of transports, but my station is significantly stronger than his. And now you can just see them shooting each other. This is kind of a neat thing that can happen. It's pretty rare. This station actually gained a bunch of power though. But that's fine.
Hostile fleet engaged. System survey complete. Situation log updated.
Now the idea is basically to take the Igarian cartel out of this war entirely before the Lavis gets a chance to get down here into the fight. And for that, we kind of need to be just on top of things in general. And you can see my station, or my spaceport, doing very well in the fight there. But this will let me clear up that hashed area inside my empire. And those are always ugly. But a problem easily rectified. I finished terraforming this world, but I'm gonna hold off on... Nah, I'll colonize it now. Send from Jumla to here, I think. It's about as good as any spot. And like I said before, I prefer to send colony ships from planets that I don't directly control. It just, not occupying my spaceports is preferable. The Lavis Consolidated Sons, though, who I'm also at war with in this war, will try to come through Centomeroi, which is a two-front war, and a two-front war is always bad. But I'm feeling like I'm probably strong enough to kill the one side without losing too much war score from any occupation and destroyed spaceports, then turn around and go deal with him. And that's more or less the plan. And these guys should be landing on the planet in Yulon. This is a display bug. It'll show the wrong system for armies all the time with multiple armies. I don't believe I've mentioned it so far, but it happens pretty much constantly. And the flak battery I really want, but I am going to finish up my research structures. I'm getting big and my research is starting to slow down. Then I'll get the flak battery later. And that'll be alright. So, occupied the first planet. So I'm going to send these fleets to here. And these should be terraforming. Yeah. I did get them started, but they are a bit later than the planet up north. That's alright though. And here, this planet is also occupied. So we are going to take a look at what we've even got from the enemy here. We're going to move to Suter. The kinetic batteries that we do have on our battleships already are fantastic weapons. And it's really just a matter of time as our fleet approaches the level of insurmountability that I really like. We're actually going to wait here. Ah, shit. I don't like having my transports lead, because if they have a fortress, it'll suck the transports in and I could lose them all. I'm less concerned with the robotic armies than with the xenomorphs. The robots build faster. Ooh, enigmatic fortress. Nice. Alright. Yet another reason to get all of this space. As though I really needed one. But the fleets should be on their way there. And the fleet is moving, so we're going to move these guys into orbit. You generally don't want your transports to be too far behind either. If your transports fall too far behind, then the enemy can actually snipe them behind your main fleet, which we also don't want. Alright, so we got the level 3 physics labs. I'm going to get advanced combat rolls because that's just additional statistics for the whole fleet. And I believe I have to get all of the regular ones before I can get my favorite one being the precognitive interface. Precog is fantastic. Let's see what we've got going on here. And here you can see the transports aren't even engaged in this fight, it's just the spaceport and my combat fleet. Which the spaceport doesn't stand a chance against my combat fleet. These are the destroyers firing their kinetic batteries. And soon the battleships will light up. I love the way that looks. Easily one of my favorite parts of the game. Watching kinetic batteries just open up on the enemy.
Situation log updated. Hostile fleet engaged.
And I lost a scientist from one of my science ships. I just want to watch these fire again. It's so fantastic. Love the way they look. But this science ship lost its scientist, so we're going to replace him.
System survey complete.
To my knowledge, there is no trait that improves the ability to assist research, so what trait they have really doesn't matter. And so I just generally pick the youngest one. Sometimes I'll grab one that I'll assign to actual research instead of going straight to the science ship. But most of the time I'm just looking for somebody to fill out the research itself, or to fill out the science ship, and it doesn't matter what they have. They are all equally adept. But occupying another 2 planets. Soon I'll have to run over to the Lavis Consolidated Suns. And it's really kind of annoying. I'm gonna have to fight Sintomaroi and Lavis once I go to deal with the Sebin. But what are you gonna do? I am a galactic scale threat, so I guess it stands to reason that I would get a galactic scale response. Alright, so I've got the 2 fleets here. Move these guys over. Oh, Cybrax Alpha. This is another precursor. I need to get in there. That'll be my minion's space soon anyway. Excellent. Excellent. A lot of times these ruined places here, you can see he's got a lot of research stations. A lot of times that's living metal. And living metal is important to me. But I also can't go exploring it while I'm at war. I'll just, I'll lose the science ship to the research stations, which is extremely not ideal. And we'll embark here. That should be the last. Oh, he's got outposts there. So I'm going to move up north and get ready to go deal with the Lava's Consolidated Suns. Because he felt the need to get in on this war. Or well, he didn't really have an option about whether or not he wanted to get in on the war. But he did feel the need to guarantee the Igarian cartel, and I felt a need to absorb them, so we are at odds. And actually, after I defeat the Lavas fleet, I might declare war on the Steven systems. Let's see, who does he have defensive pacts with? Yeah, he's got Lavas cartel on his side as well. So I'll probably vassalize the Igarian cartel's stuff, and then move in on the Steven systems. Because doing this, I will be defeating the fleet of the Lava's Consolidated Suns. It's just not an option. I have to defeat it. But I will be able to immediately declare war on the Steven systems after this, because I won't have any stability issues. I'll just be establishing a new vassal. And so it won't be my problem. At least not necessarily. If it has the same rebellion issue as the previous one, then it will become my problem. But it just changes my priorities a bit. And watch the battleships light the targets up. Just giant cannons. I'm immensely fond of the way the battleships just kind of light things up. God, that's good. Whoever did that effect with the kinetic batteries did that very much correct. And my new colony is established. And it pushed control over this star. So that's now in my space, so an extra little bit of research. Every little bit counts. And we'll land. Should have that under control. God, I really want living metal. Living metal is one of my favorite strategic resources. It gives 5% armor to everything to every ship, and also gets an extra 2% per month regeneration. So my ships will passively repair even more quickly. And that'll mean I can, on my small ships, I can open them up a bit and use shield capacitors, and they'll still repair themselves out of combat. And there we go. So now the Igarian cartel is completely out of this war. And I can head up north, rally my fleets. My construction ship, I think, is not really done per se, but that's weird. The systems are showing yellow, but when I tried to tell them to move there, it didn't give me the option of researching additional things. Grab a tile blocker. Oh yeah. Biolab 3 is what I finished. So now we're going to go through my planets again, because I should have some research labs to upgrade. And an enigmatic fortress. I've never done the enigmatic fortress before, so that's going to be all new to me. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure entirely what to expect. I know it's got a lot of gun. And other than that, I don't know. Yeah, see, that is weird. But we've got a assigned ship on his way to go check it out, and we'll see what happens when he gets there. The transports you can see are actually faster than my main combat ships, which is just a little annoying, but it's not the end of the world. It's largely just due to the fact that battleships are not fast at all. They're the slowest ships in the game. But, or well, colony ships may be slower or something like that, but they're the slowest combat ships in the game. And so, using them slows the whole fleet down, since the fleet moves as one unit. And that's more or less what we're seeing here, is that the battleships have slowed the fleet down to the point where the transports have no problem outrunning my main fleet. But Igarian cartel is completely dead. And I'm soon going to be running up to deal with the Lavis Consolidated Suns. Let's see how we're going with the peace treaty, minus 67. The bulk of which is the length of the, or a big portion of which is the length of the war. So the peace treaty, or the war score and the peace offer are directly contradictory to each other, so the two of them combined are giving me minus 42, and the length of the war is minus 35. And that's basically what it is. And then, you know, fleet strength is fairly unsubtle. But waiting for warp line down here. Just a few days left, and then I will be able to start moving out toward the Lavis. There we go. So now the fleet marches northward.
Construction complete. Construction complete.
And once they're in warp, you can see all of the fleets move the same speed. It's just sublight, the transports are faster than the battleships, and it causes the fleets to kind of split up. Obviously not ideal, but we work with what we have, and what we have are ships that are very slow and hit like trucks. And those advanced combat rolls are going to be pretty nice to have too. I'll be able to upgrade those sooner rather than later. And I probably should have put a humiliate in for the Lavis. I only used 76% war score, or 76% for the peace treaty. I could easily have put a humiliate in on the Lavis, but that's alright. The humiliate gives me 100 influence, which I don't really need anymore, but more importantly, it gives minus 10% happiness to his whole empire. And I'm in it to break my opponents. The minus 10% happiness, of course, will decrease their productivity, but it can also increase factions if their population is already kind of teetering on the edge. And that is largely what I need to get done, is breaking big opponents down so that I can take them apart in pieces. Let's say, if I could split the Centomeroi in half, I'd be able to declare separate wars against each side and consume them more quickly. And that would be ideal. It isn't likely to happen, at least not yet, but I will be disrupting my opponents as much as possible. And it's hard to get more than 3 or 4 planets in most wars. Sometimes you can get them pretty inexpensive, and as empires get larger, you can generally get more planets in one pass. But larger empires will essentially always take longer to take apart anyway. The amount of war score that I get per occupied planet also decreases with empire size. So, you know, if they only had if they only had like 4 or 5 planets, like it would have been if the Lavis Confederated Suns didn't join in, or Consolidated Suns, this war would of course already be over. Instead, because I have to deal with Lavis, I have to conquer a ton more space. So I'm actually going to get the clone vats and clone army, because I believe that will lead to the clone commandos, which are my favorite unit attachment, and the gene warriors, which are my favorite ground combat unit in general. So we'll land troops. I'm also not entirely sure I mentioned it, but you also get more war score for blockading a planet than you do for occupying it. So the only reason to occupy planets is because you need to take more planets than you have fleets. And generally speaking, that will be the case, but there are fringe cases where it's faster to just occupy or to just blockade all of their planets than to try and invade all of them on the ground. And I'm going to go ahead and move here. Those guys have this on lockdown, so I'm going to move my other combat fleet up. Alright, so the robot army was successful, and I'm going to move them up that way so they can still be safe. And I'm not sure how much fleet the Lavis Consolidated Suns actually have. Yeah, see, their fleet is showing equivalent to mine, although their power is still weaker overall as a nation. So I suspect my fleet is stronger than theirs, but they're approaching me in power. So I'm going to build some more ships since I have plenty of resources and capacity, and poke them a little bit, see if I can get their attention. Yeah, see, he has a magnet here. If I had blindly jumped my transports in, I would have lost my xenomorph armies. And right there. But I sent them in with a combat fleet, so instead I just blew up a bunch of his stuff. And that bug can happen where it renders stations, a dying station on the map. The game will do that from time to time, and it doesn't hurt too much, though. If you kill the crystal, the massive crystal station, it will stay on your screen forever, which is more than a little bit frustrating. Alright, so I'm on the ground, my armies are winning in a landslide. So what I'm actually going to do, I think, is tell my fleets to meet up here. And I'm going to go see if I can find his. I don't like that his fleet is running around and I have no idea where it is. And I just got the advanced combat rules technology, which I'll be using shortly enough. Let's get more power. Why not, right? And we will embark our xenomorphs and run them away, while our primary fleets are moving in a position. So what I'm waiting for them to do is switch to the idle icon on the outliner. But it's actually getting to the point where I will be inserting a break shortly. See, this one switched to the repair. Repair and idle are kind of used interchangeably in my mind. But yeah, there's going to be a mid-year intermission here. And there it is. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you're enjoying.